Next game on the list, or last game on the list for this episode, is Time Stories.
Designed by Peggy, Chassenet, and Manuel Rozoy. Artists is Ben Carre, Vincent Dutre, David Lecossu, and Pascal Quidault. Might need Rachel to correct that last one, but published by Space Cowboys.
All right, so Matt's going to give the kind of the rules overview of how the mechanics of the game work. And just as a disclaimer before anybody freaks out, there's going to be a spoiler alert, but here's how we're going to handle this. If you're watching the video version of the show, we are going to pause and say spoiler alert after we talk about the mechanics of the game and the gameplay itself. And then we'll spoiler alert it, and then we'll talk about the actual the base game story, which is Asylum. We'll give our thoughts on that. And so that's a huge, like absolutely huge spoiler alert. Do not listen to this in video if you haven't played the game and played the base game scenario. If you're listening to the podcast, though, I'm going to cut that section out and put it at the very end of the episode after the music. So you don't have to stop and get up and hit record, like fast forward at any point. Mm-hmm. Once you hear the music, if you don't want to listen to it, you're done. Otherwise, after the music, you can listen to the spoiler alerts all you want. So anyway, continue, Matt. Give us the rundown.
Yes, and anything I mentioned, also, if it's in the rule book, because they have to tell you something about the game. I'm not considering that a spoiler. So
that's fair game.
Just, heads up. So basically, Time Stories' basic premise is you get to walk around in some body that is just a person. You're working for some company. I'm not going to go into all that fluff. It's very well explained. But essentially, you have a panorama that is a room. The first card will kind of set the tone. It'll tell you like what room it is, who's in it, and who you can interact with. Once you're onto this point, everybody will you have your own color, like peg or whatever, a big wooden block thing.
Elaborate on the company real quick, and like that we're in the future, basically.
The word time cop's basically going back in time to stop, a specific thing, or how they put it is to prevent temporal faults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, they sense somebody is going to mess with a timeline, and you're actually going back to try and stop them. You use what did they call the bodies? They're called
avatars, I think.
It wasn't called an avatar. It was something. They had some other kind of word for it, but avatar is
receptacle.
Receptacle, yeah. Receptacle.
Mm-hmm.
So you will be in someone's body that can, I guess, die or something, but you can reset and all this stuff. This is all explained in the game. But they put you in a receptacle. You go back in time, or maybe the future. I don't know.
No, I think it's always going back in time.
You think it's always back?
Right.
They can't go forward? Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
I mean, maybe in future they may push you up in time or something.
I think so far all the stories have been in the past.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you need a DeLorean otherwise. But as far as gameplay, so you have this panorama. Everybody gets to make a choice on what part of that room you want to go to. Then in any order, you can pick and choose which way you want to kind of take these actions. And if there's more than one person on a room, they get to look at that card, together. Otherwise, you have to describe to everybody what you're seeing and what's going on. It will give you other kind of flavor text and all this stuff. There may be some kind of checks that you might have to do, which are deafness, glibness, and
basically
attack.
Attacking, ability, conversation.
Yeah, it's basically talking
and speed.
Yeah, I guess so. Mm-hmm. Kind of like swiftness or something. Being agile, and then fighting is your basic traits you have. You will get a character card at the beginning, and this is all like they might have a special ability and stuff, and they have different amounts of dice they get to roll based on which one of these attributes it is. So each part of the room might give you a test to take. If it does, you will roll the said dice to try and get, they're starburst or something, I think.
Right.
They're not normal dice, I don't believe, right?
No.
No.
It's because it's got nothing, 1 or 2.
Yeah, nothing, skulls.
Skull, right.
I think 1 or 2 burst. Maybe
Yeah,
a third? No, I don't think there's a 3 burst.
That's what I was trying to think. I didn't think there was a 3, but there could have been. But either way, it's an abnormal dice. It has different symbols on it. To make your checks, like I said, you'll roll the dice to do that. Other than that, I think it's pretty much combat. Other than, let's go back to, if you want to leave this area, there is like an overall map that everybody has to leave together to go to. When you do this, you will roll a die to, I guess, kind of take up the amount of time it took to move from location to location. You're going to always give up 2, I believe, but then you roll to see what
additional
on top of that you will lose in time units. Once you are to your new location, then you'll just pretty much do everything I said before again. The only other thing pretty much to the game is combat, which is fairly simple. Every, I guess, challenge will give you a certain amount of shields to set up.
Or fight challenges.
Yes. And actually, I think it could be any challenge.
Oh,
I think all challenges had a... No, they didn't.
Right. I think it was just fight.
It would just tell you what amount you needed.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to hit 4.
Yeah, so it was
how many
only
successes or whatever.
Yeah, so it was only on fights that use the shields. But there's basically 3 slots that they could have different kind of shield tokens in. And you roll dice to try and eliminate these. And the basic way it works is if they have shields and skulls, you roll to try and knock off the shields and the skulls. But if you roll skulls, it will add to the skulls and hit you back. I'm not going to go super in depth on it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But that's basically it.
Yeah. So only thing I'll add is so you go through a couple of different runs. Base game wise, it has like, you might have 30 time units for your first run. Doing an action, every action that you do it as a group. It takes 1 time unit. Those actions can be move around. Do the action. You also have an action of doing nothing, because sometimes you have to do that, but because you all spend 1 action point and you all get 1 action altogether. So it's not I do action, it costs us 1. You do an action, it costs another time unit.
Yeah,
1 time unit
for a group of actions.
Yeah, 1 group of actions. So yeah, you're kind of going back the multiple runs. So it kind of says in the game that it's impossible to fail. You're just going to keep on going back, or stay there until you finish, kind of thing.
Yeah, because they're gonna, you run out of time and you have to read off, there's like multiple failures and success mission cards. And so if you fail the mission, then they read off like a story, and it's like, okay, well, you're all new guys or whatever. We'll send you back.
Yeah, go back and try again.
And now you might have a little bit more time.
And then also to add on to that, there are the items that you can carry over from run to run.
Yes.
They're marked in a certain way, and this is all explained in the game.
Yeah.
This and that. So a lot of it really, honestly, just takes reading a rule book and then playing it a little bit, and then you get this.
Yeah, a lot of the game is the story that's happening, because you go through, you're trying to figure out what's going on. You waste a lot of time investigating stuff you don't need to, because it's just a bunch of superfluous or red herrings, and then you fail the mission.
Yeah, you go back, and you're like, we don't need to do that.
We don't even need to go to this spot, or we need to go here and get this one specific thing, and then we can move on, etc. And as you move around, you unlock new location cards that will actually picture it like 4 cards in a square, and it might be a map of something, but not all the locations are there. New ones will pop out as you replace those with new cards. And so like you didn't know that this one section of the building was there until you go somewhere else, and it's like, okay, now you've unlocked this area, bam, so now you can visit there. So there's prerequisites to actually get places. In addition to that, the game actually has a lot of different keys, which aren't necessarily keys in the sense of like, a key to unlock a door, although that is a use for it. But the key components to the game are kind of like a pink square, or like 3 pink squares, or 3 green squares, or whatever.
A big rectangle and 2 little squares or something.
Yeah, it's like a generic kind of like futuristic looking key. And so in the game, if you get an item that's like, here's an iron key, take the 2 squares that are green, or whatever, that tile. And then later on, as you go to, like, you find a door and it might require that key, and it says, if you have the green symbol, the thing with
that
2
matches.
triangles. And
yeah. I think there's like 4 different symbols of each color. So you have to have that specific.
Right. They're not all used in each story.
Right.
But some of those are just actually story elements too. So like you might have a decision to where I'm going to make something up. This is not spoiler alert, but maybe I don't know, you kill a behemoth, because that's obviously not in the game.
Right.
But you kill a behemoth, and it's like, you get this key, and all that is, it's not really an actual key. It just means that later on, if something happens, it's going to trigger a story element to happen. Be like, oh, I heard you did this. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's like that way the game can track your decision making also, rather than just what, you know, physical item you've got to unlock a door or whatever. So it unlocks new story paths and stuff. So anyway, we're only going to talk about the gameplay. This will probably be rather short, I assume. And then we'll, spoiler alert, and we'll go into the actual Asylum base game thing. So we're going to try not to do any spoiler alerts of the actual story of the one we played. So overall, what did y'all think of it?
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I think if you liked exit games or escape room type of games, you'll really like this one. Basically, you're kind of doing the same thing. It's kind of like a really more in depth or a longer one, right? So, if you like those types of games, you're gonna like this game.
You know, a lot of people kind of compare it to point and click adventure games on computer.
Yeah,
like if you ever played the Shadowgate game back in the day, or there's a lot of these. I don't like them actually,
right?
Which is hilarious because I really enjoy time stories, and I think it's more of it's because of the board game. But you know, it's like here's a still like Mist. Yeah, like where you know here's an area and here's a gear and here's a puzzle. Click, click, click. Do this, do that. But in this game, it's like instead of one screen that's like a static image that you click stuff. That static image is across 6 cards or whatever, however many. It's actually random, depending on the location, or not random, but you know, different amounts.
Right.
And then you point and click on that card, and then it flips over and gives you more detail about that spot. So, I don't know. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I can't see I can see maybe some of the stories might be better than the others.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
the overall idea of what's going on and how it plays and everything was really fun.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. Between this and Folklore, I don't really see a need to play any kind of role-playing game anymore. Because this pretty much fulfills what I look for in a role-playing game. I'm looking for kind of like the...
If you don't want to DM, I agree with you.
And, you know, just kind of, you know, looking for... you know what's going on and trying to figure out exactly what you should do, the best path. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure in a way,
like mystery and the adventure. Yeah,
and it is free roaming because you can like, we're
done here.
Yeah, we're done here, or we can't figure out what's going on, so let's try another spot and see if we can,
and then come back to that one
and
later.
Then come back to it later, right? So it's it's just kind of like an open world that you get to walk around in, and it's got a lot of story fluff and all this and that, and
yeah. And I had the same feeling when we started it that I did when I played the first Assassin's Creed game. I don't know if you ever played Assassin's Creed, but you're like, oh, wow, Assassin's Creed looks awesome. Yeah. And then you start playing and you're like, why are we in the future? And this is kind of because it starts you off in this like futuristic metal type of like the bridge of a starship or something. You're like, whoa,
and then
what is
you're
that?
Stuck there at the end.
Are you?
Yeah. On the first one.
On Assassin's Creed?
Right.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
It just ends there. It's like nothing to do. You're stuck there.
So, you know, it was really cool. And the fact that it has different there's a bunch of endings basically. And that's really fun. We won't get into that right now, but, the mechanisms of the game.
For this game?
Yes.
Oh, I thought there was like 3 different endings. Like,
there's multiple failures, but
a couple different failures.
What I'm saying is, the way it ends with the base game, I think, is going to be different than how it ends with the other ones.
That could be true, right?
Like, I think the other ones are going to maybe have different endings depending on what happens or whatever. Because there was a couple of choices at the end of the base scenario that could have taken you in one or two paths. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. And, you know, the fact that, you know, it's weird because I think Tom Vassell actually said there's not a lot of games out there that does time travel well. And
time travel at all, maybe.
Well, there's at least 4 or 5 that I can name off the top of my head.
Okay.
But like oh man, now that you say that, I forget it. What's the game that we played? Tragedy Looper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes. Tragedy Looper, to me, we played it once and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, that was really hard to play.
It was just really, not monotonous, but it was like, do I want to dedicate this much time to playing this game? Especially since you only can enjoy it from one side.
Right.
Because once you solve the puzzle, you can't jump to the other side because you know how it's solved, or whatever.
Right.
Maybe you could play a player and then move on to the bad guy because the bad guy knows the ending anyway.
But something with this though, if you play it and even though you know the story, something you could do, it's almost like a video game. It's like, how fast can we do it?
That's true.
How quick can we get this done now?
That's if you remember everything. And actually, I was going to go on that too because it has an option where you can kind of save your progress, which I don't think. Maybe if you save it for the next day, but if you save it for a week out or 2 weeks out, you're gonna forget so much stuff. It's almost starting over. You're not gonna remember, where did we get this item? How did we get it? Was it here or here? You'll remember some stuff, like, all right, I don't need to talk to this person or do this thing because it led nowhere.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna forget how we were supposed to get this and do this with it.
Right. Well, overall, I think I'm looking forward to playing pretty much all of them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good.
Which we've played most of the other games, escape room, unlocks. So kind of down our alley.
Matt, you played the exit games. Comparison, contrast. Obviously they're super different, but
they're a lot different. The exit games are essentially escape rooms. This is kind of like escape room-esque, I guess. But
it kind of reminds me more of Unlock.
Yeah.
Not as much, but more story.
Yeah, a lot more story and stuff. It's definitely not as puzzly as any of those.
That's true. Or at least this
one was not, right. So I don't know. And even there's a difference between unlock and exits. So it's kind of like they're doing their own thing.
That's fine. You guys want to talk about the adventure then?
The
Asylum.
Sure. Oh, you'll break it up from here, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna break it up. So if you're watching the video, this is your spoiler alert. We are going to continue talking about Time Stories, the base game story, all things unbarred, right? So
right.
Turn off the video if you're there. Otherwise, this is going to begin the end of the end of the podcast episode. So you'll know if you're there. So spoiler alerts. All right, so let's talk about Asylum. What we thought about that. What'd you think?
Let's start with.
Can I say one word first?
What?
Cocaine.
I was gonna say
cocaine.
Well, who did you take? I was the cocaine guy.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I was a cocaine guy.
Tim was a cocaine guy. Yeah.
Nikki was the cannibal. Did y'all play with the cannibal?
I guess let's talk about that too. Matt played it with his family. Me and Tim played it in another group setting.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We had the cannibal.
You had the cannibal.
The girl that basically had 2 hit points.
Yeah.
And 8
but she
plus.
could eat if she killed him last. She could eat up.
But she had to be there by herself. Yeah, did you get that part?
I don't know.
I thought she had to be there by
no. There was
if there's other people around, she didn't want to.
She didn't want to know other people know she's a cannibal. I don't remember.
I don't remember that. There was a girl that if she was by herself had penalties and she got bonuses if she was with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but you know what we should have mentioned in the base game stuff?
If she's with everybody, she had
she's with everybody.
More dice for everything.
Right.
Is that the characters are super different.
Yes.
They are super different, and none of them are like, oh, this one's for sure in.
Yeah.
Because all of them also, they gave you a positive, like, oh, this guy, he has 3 dice of attack. But they always gave you like a weakness as well.
Right.
Most of the time,
like that guy he didn't have any the swiftness one, I think. I think my son played him. That was like the World War I guy.
The one I had was if I whiff, like it's a blank die or something, I get these tokens. If I get like 3 tokens, I hit someone else in my spot.
Oh, wow. And see, I think my daughter was the one that I think she rolled a blank. Or no, what was it? Something about like she could change the die if something happened. But it was only on glibness. It was only on the top one.
Right, that's the sexy girl. That was Melissa.
Yeah.
She was like, on the glibness test, you can change any dice to 1 starburst.
Right.
Which I guess I don't know if there was the weakness to that one. I'm sure there was.
y'all didn't have cocaine.
Yeah. I took cocaine guy.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like that, I don't know. It was just like such
and you
a
could give it to other people.
Yeah.
You want to hit?
You need a bump.
Did y'all like role play a little bit while you're doing it, or I know it might be different with the family.
Yeah, you were the bump.
Yeah, I don't think we did quite that much. Maybe every now and then we kind of said something silly, but
yeah.
I think we did quite a bit. I mean, maybe it's just me.
Right, right. The cocaine part.
Give me that cocaine.
yeah, I could see that. That could add a little bit.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Oh,
So nobody picked a nun.
No.
She was
the
awful.
old lady.
Yeah, she was awful.
She had like nothing.
She
going
had
for
1
her.
hit point, but 4 shield, I think, something like that.
Which now to think about it,
could be better. Yeah,
she could be better. How we were playing it, we did do it wrong.
we did it hardcore
we did it
mode.
Hardcore mode.
Like if they did a counter attack, we added. If they did, we had 1 skull and they had 4 skulls, they would hit us for 5 minus our shield.
Basically, instead of just taking 1 damage per attack, we took whatever the discrepancy is.
The difference.
The difference, yeah.
Right, which we did, yeah. Like you said, hard mode on us. We still ended up finishing it, so it turned out fine. But you're only supposed to take 1 damage.
So one of the most impressively annoying things that ended up being amazing, and it got a standing applause from me, was the red herring where you went through that whole tunnel, you fought the regenerating guy, and you were like, this is the cheesiest thing I've ever experienced in the game. And then it's like, there is clearly the wrong direction.
Right.
And you're like,
no, I didn't like that.
troll level 5,000.
Well, see, it was funny, even from the very get-go, and also you all probably played it where you had to describe everything, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
and that's how you're supposed to play it. You get to see the card.
You describe it.
You describe it. It might tell you, or you're not supposed to read it out loud to everybody
Right.
else. You read it to yourself and kind of paraphrase
Well,
it.
and it was funny with the when you first go to the dormitory, the guy locked in the bed. Okay, do you remember this guy?
The dormitory, the guy.
Yeah,
The
the
guy
guy that
like-
ends up beating you up.
Okay, see,
Oh, right.
my
that-
daughter is the one. She's looking at that, and
Mhm.
we're like, maybe he does need help. We're obviously here dealing with bad people. Let's let him out. And my daughter is straight like, you guys don't see the look in this guy's face. He looks crazy. I don't think we should let him out. But it was 3 against 1, and then we let him out. It was like,
Oh,
I guess she was right.
Yeah.
That's cool that she saw that, actually.
Yeah, so there's a guy out in the park.
Yes.
And I told these guys, hey, this guy
That was
is
This dude is crazy.
He's so crazy.
Yeah.
We did all the stuff. Go get the item I forgot what item he wanted.
We
Something
did that.
stupid.
Yeah, we did this just to entertain my son. But
Yeah. It's like, I forgot what it was, but it was like put it on the ground and dance around it. Take
It was
4
the
times to watch
plunger.
him. Oh, the plunger.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
it's
toilet
like-
plunger.
He's like, I want the toilet
We
plunger.
need the relic.
it's
like, okay.
Put it on the ground and dance around it. It's going to take 4 times to see, if anything happens. You want to spend it? Sure.
yeah, why not?
And the look on the artwork is priceless. It's like troll face. They might as well just put the troll face on this guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
that
know
part
it's
I didn't mind. I didn't really prefer going and
wasting all that
fighting
fighting.
4 things, getting down this hallway, going up,
But the cool thing
ladder
about
and
it
be like,
is, once you fail that time, the next time you just avoid that entire area.
yeah.
But what makes the game great in that sense too, though, is it lets you know, like, just because the option's there to do it doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
Or you should.
Or you should. And
So I read on something for that. Someone said, "Hey, it's about finding something in that mansion or the place, the asylum. It's not about leaving it." So that's why that was a dead end, because you were leaving it.
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna figure that out. That's so subtle. Like I feel like that's like when you
But when you
analyze
see
it
that
afterwards.
option, yeah, here's a new
Oh,
place to go.
so you go back to the whole reason you're there for the mission,
right,
I guess.
you're not there for the mission to run away.
Right, but
or-
does it ever say this is the catacombs is leading out of it?
possibly?
I
mean,
don't-
I
did
kind
not
of just seen, hey, this is a new path to go. We haven't been here. Let's check it out.
Because that was in
I
the
wanna check
3-way
out.
split, right? Is that
Right.
not where that was?
But it's not like, if I remember correctly, it's not like you flip out that location. It was, you can get to it there, and there's another way you can get to it.
from the outside of the lower right hand corner, maybe.
Something,
Does
yeah.
that sound right?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure there's 2 ways to go through it.
Yeah, it sounds right.
But anyway, there wasn't anything on the intro card to that location that says it appears like this is going outside the city and leaving.
You smell fresh air.
Yeah, you smell fresh air. Right. It just seems like it was catacombs, and I didn't know that catacombs would end up leaving. You know, it seems like it would. Like, I played Diablo. Okay, you go down to the catacombs to kill Diablo.
Right.
So,
which we did find all kinds of stuff, and it was like, usually, you know, it's protected for a reason. I thought we were
getting to the boss.
Right.
Yeah, so, it got real.
It did get real. It got really hard, and it was awesome, because if it was like literally you go through, you fight that, the guy regenerates 8 times or however many times it takes you.
Right.
And then you fight it, and then like that was the end of it. It would have been like not as satisfying, actually. It was more satisfying that it was a red herring that you're like, you seriously... Okay, let's just not go there next time.
Oh, I also will say that
only because the game is meant to go through it a couple of times.
Do you remember how long it took us? I think it was like 5 hours.
Yeah, like 5 to 6 hours.
Okay. I think if you're really good, what I heard is it takes 3.5. Maybe if you're really good. We did have one problem.
How do you get really good at this?
Well, not really good.
It's one playthrough, basically.
Right.
You know, it's like saying if you're really good at the unlock games.
Well, I thought I kind of consider us pretty good at these types of games, and I was like, okay, we'll get it done in 3.5. You know, that's what people say as a real
maybe the last
run.
Final run. I don't know about the whole.
I've always heard 5 to 6 hours.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm talking about like if you're on top of your game and you hit all the stuff that you need.
But you can't unless you just know and prepare and plan out that whole path. I mean, or you cheat it and spoiled it before you played it the first time.
On our 5-6 hour game, we experienced everything.
Everything.
Yeah, we did everything. We looked everywhere. We went every spot, looked at every item.
Did you
every item?
Did you have a female talk to the guy in the room that he grabs onto?
Right.
Yeah. That's actually, I think, integrated into the story a little bit, isn't it? Because they were like,
I don't think so. Well, you kind of needed to, which I didn't see it. You seen a picture, and you kind of had to spot him out.
Yes.
Picture? Right. I think maybe he was in it.
I think she was in it, maybe.
Or she was in it.
Nah, somebody. But
somebody.
How long did it take? Did you? Well, how long did it take you to do the keys? Did you do all the keys and stuff?
The keys.
Like it's like a pentagram with an item in the middle. And there's like 5 of them or something, but we couldn't find the last one.
Oh, yeah, because Tim had it. We couldn't find it because Tim had it.
We couldn't find it because Tim had it.
Because it was actually printed on the key rather than being a full card of artwork for it.
I remember we found all the symbols.
Yeah, but you had to get all the symbols. One of them was on the key instead of it being on a card like all the others.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why it took us a little longer. We was like, oh, we are missing something. We need to go every spot and retrace our steps because we're missing something. But it's because Tim had it.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying. Did you do the scoring stuff at the end, or did you just...
like I said, for listeners, we messed up.
Kind of messed up, yeah.
When you are doing it, when you go into a new room, make sure you read the back of the top card. Because there was the part with the maze that we didn't read, and that messed us up from there. So I think...
How did you guys kind of handle that since you didn't know what to do with it? You kind of looked at it blankly and was like, what does this mean?
Yeah, I think we kind of like just said, I think we figured we were missing something.
Oh, and you so I'll go back. Yeah. We need something to figure this out.
Right. So we just left that area, and the way we got to the catacombs might have been when you dealt with the doctor.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to get to the catacombs.
That was the other way to get there.
Right.
Basically, I think that's you can go one way or the other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I like the scoring stuff. Actually, I wonder if you didn't do the scoring stuff, did you find the special tokens? Do you know what we're talking about?
Special tokens.
You want us to just tell you, or
you are finished with it though?
I mean, we're essentially done.
Okay, so when you finish the game, you go through a scoring system that says how much time you have left, how much of this or whatever. You get points, and then it tells you to lift up the insert of the game. And I think maybe you didn't know what those were, but there's actually another punch sheet under the board the insert of the game that gives you these tokens.
Remember, you looked at my game. He was like, "What's that?" And I was like,
"Oh yes, yeah.
I think it's BGG promo tiles." You didn't get there.
That's
yet.
the ones you're talking about now, though.
Yeah.
Right. What they actually are is when you, depending on how well you did in the game, you get special abilities that you can actually take with you to the next game you play. Not to another play session of the Asylum,
Really?
but you take them into the next like expansion. And so you have like,
Well, the next story.
Did you all get any
Live.
of them?
we got a couple, yeah. We, as a matter
This
of fact,
is through the scoring, though.
you have to
Right.
finish it.
You have to
yes.
finish and do the scoring. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you finished the last part of it, but basically you find like some naked girl that's wanting to summon these demons or something.
And you'd be like, she wants you to sit down with her. Or sit in that corner.
And then we try to
Of
kill her. She
Star.
summons something. We kill
Yeah,
it.
see, we didn't get in there because we found the gate or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And like I said, we knew we could get there because we had all the clues. We knew what to do, but it was like, that's when I was trying to like run through. And I was like, what was the path to even get to this spot?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I couldn't see what the path was to get there. So we'll sit down and run through it again to get to that point or whatever. But,
Yeah.
That finished it out.
yeah, and actually finish it out. So maybe we'll sit down and try and actually play it to get our special tokens, I guess. And
That's fair.
See
It
what
is.
happens.
Because you have 2 more scenarios.
yes,
Cool.
We thought we did so bad.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh man, it was like some unlock game. You're supposed to take an hour. We took like 2.
On the final playthrough, yeah.
Right. Well, like we play some unlock games where you're supposed to take an hour, and we took
Oh,
an hour
yeah.
and a half or 2. I thought that was kind of like what we did on our run through. I was like, oh man, we took so much time, but we did the scoring, and
I think we were
didn't
like,
do too
there's
bad.
top tier and we were the next tier. So we got some pretty decent tokens to take into the next one.
gotcha.
Mhm.
But his was already bagged, so we're like, oh, that's what these are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well-
BGG promos.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there was a little bit more puzzles like the maze. I kind of did like the maze, how it actually worked out, where it's like 4 cards.
Yeah, you're supposed to figure something out. There isn't really that much puzzly stuff.
No.
Mm-mm.
Now you got get the keys or whatever, but that's one, and then you have to do the maze, which you don't have to even finish. It's like, yeah, if you can't figure it out, just pay 4 and you can go.
Play
on.
4 times. That's
4
all you have to
time.
pay?
Or it was like 4 or 5 times or something. You can pay in time if you didn't want
Yes.
to figure it out.
Right.
Oh, wow. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Boom. I can't wait to play one of these that's medieval or like a dungeon crawl.
But from what I heard online, this is as puzzly as it gets, which is kind of odd.
Well, I mean, the
other
stories
ones
are
going
pretty
to
good,
be,
though.
Yeah, more story driven, I guess.
Well, because everything you're reading it is kind of like a cool little story, and you have to pay attention to the art. And like Matt said, dude was crazy. You can tell, but it's
Yeah.
like, do we help him out? Well, but we want to see what happens.
Right, and that's actually, I guess, it's good and bad. You're like, there might be something there. We gotta spend that time to do it, even
Right.
though
It is waste your
There's
time.
a good chance we're gonna waste our time.
Yeah. So I don't know. Overall, super good. I was beyond floored by this game, and I literally had. It wasn't that I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't trying to like make time to do it
Mm-hmm.
Because I
we've had it for
a while. Yeah.
a while, over a year.
I was just kind of like, nah, I mean, if we play it, that'd be cool, whatever. Now I'm like, let's get them all, finish them back to back.
And what's cool too is the way I got mine was through a math trade, so it'll be like,
Yeah, I got mine through.
you can get
Secret Santa.
you can play those and then trade them off once you're done with them.
That's
so.
true, yeah, because it's unlikely the components are going to be that damaged or anything because it wasn't played that many times,
No.
unless it was mass trade like 15 times.
Right.
So, yeah, good stuff. I'm looking really forward to playing the rest of them. Any final things before we move on to the topic?
No, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of this. So
Well,
Yeah.
cool. This is probably the end of the actual podcast, but the video is the end of the video. So that was Time Stories.